Ghana is coming back to the skies. After more than 2 decades without a national carrier, the government has taken its most decisive step yet toward relaunching a flag airline for the country. On the 28th of April 2026, the Ministry of Transport formally opened a global search for a strategic partner to help build and operate a new Ghanaian national airline, with a submission deadline set for the 29th of May 2026. The announcement did not come out of nowhere. It is the result of nearly a year of structured groundwork, and it signals that this time, Ghana is doing things differently. To understand why this moment matters, you have to understand just how long this road has been. Before we begin, kindly subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Ghana Airways was once a symbol of African aviation ambition. Launched in 1958, it connected Accra to destinations across the continent, Europe, and beyond. For decades, it was the pride of the nation in the skies. But behind the prestige, the airline was suffering. Inefficiencies piled up, debt mounted, management struggled, and political interference did not help. By 2004, Ghana Airways had ceased operations entirely, leaving one of West Africa's most important economies without a flag carrier. The government responded by establishing Ghana International Airlines in 2005 as a successor. But that airline met the same fate, folding in 2010 after just 5 years. Since then, multiple revival attempts have been floated, discussed, announced, and quietly abandoned. Ghana has been without a national airline for over 20 years. That history is exactly why what is happening now deserves serious attention. Because this time, the Mahama administration has approached the problem with structure. In May 2025, Transport Minister Joseph Boukari Nikbe inaugurated a 10-member national airline task force and gave it a clear mandate: develop a viable business model, coordinate regulatory approvals, engage technical and strategic partners, oversee fleet acquisition and staffing, and lay the full operational groundwork for a new carrier. The task force is chaired by Charles Asare, former managing director of the Ghana Airports Company Limited, a man who knows Ghana's aviation infrastructure from the inside. Other members include Yvonne Nana Afriayo-Pere, the current managing director of the Ghana Airports Company Limited, Reverend Stephen Arthur, Director General of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, and former presidential advisor Joyce Bawa Magtari, alongside a team of aviation professionals and former regulators. This is not a political committee. It is a working group of people who have spent their careers building and running the systems that a national airline would depend on. Minister Nikbe was direct about the government's vision when he inaugurated the task force. He pointed to the investments Ghana has made in its airport infrastructure over the past decade and noted that without a national airline, Ghana is effectively handing the financial benefits of those investments to foreign carriers. Kotoka International Airport has been upgraded, its capacity has grown, passenger numbers have risen, and yet Ghana sits on the sidelines while Ethiopian Airlines, Kenya Airways, Air France, and Emirates collect the revenue from Ghanaian travelers. The minister's argument is that Ghana cannot credibly position itself as the aviation hub of West Africa while having no airline of its own. Now that argument is being acted upon. The invitation issued by the Ministry of Transport on the 28th of April is not a vague expression of intent. It is a formal, structured market-sounding exercise with 3 rounds of consultation designed to identify a qualified global partner. Interested parties must submit a company profile, relevant operational experience, a summary of their proposed business plan, and their preliminary expectations for the partnership structure. They must be operating airlines, subsidiaries of airlines, or authorized entities with direct aviation experience. This is not a call for investors with cash and no knowledge. The government is specifically looking for people who know how to run airlines. The ownership model that has emerged reflects a significant shift in thinking. The strategic partner will hold a 75% majority stake in the new airline, with the Ghanaian government retaining 25%. That structure is a deliberate departure from the old model, where the state owned and controlled the carrier while lacking the operational expertise to run it effectively. Under this framework, experienced private operators carry the majority responsibility, while Ghana retains a stake and a seat at the table. The government is counting on foreign investment, technical depth, and operational efficiency to deliver a competitive carrier, rather than trying to build one entirely from public funds. The global interest is already there. Reports indicate that Emirates, British Airways, and Air France have all expressed interest in a strategic stake, alongside potential partners from North America and the Gulf region. That level of interest from major global carriers is not guaranteed to translate into a final agreement, but it does confirm that Ghana's pitch is being taken seriously by serious players in the industry. The government's timeline places formal operations at late 2026 or the first quarter of 2027, assuming a partner is selected from this round and regulatory and certification processes move forward without delay. There are of course questions that remain. Fleet selection has not been announced. Route planning has not been made public. The specific certification pathway through the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority has not been detailed. And Africa has no shortage of cautionary tales when it comes to national airlines. South African Airways has burned billions in public funds. Kenya Airways has spent years in and out of restructuring. Air Zimbabwe barely functions. The continent's airline landscape is littered with ambition that collided with financial reality. But Africa also has its success stories and they matter here. Ethiopian Airlines is today one of the strongest airlines in the world, the backbone of intra-African connectivity, and a major intercontinental carrier. Rwandair has built a credible and growing network out of a small landlocked country. The difference in both cases was governance, a clear commercial mandate, insulation from political interference, and a long-term commitment to operational discipline. Those are the standards Ghana now has to match. The 75-25 ownership structure is an attempt to address the governance problem by design. If the selected partner is a major global airline with its own reputation and shareholders to protect, it has strong incentives to run the Ghanaian carrier properly. The government's minority position reduces the risk of the kind of political meddling that contributed to Ghana Airways' collapse. That does not make success automatic, but it does remove one of the most consistent obstacles. What Ghana has right now is a window. Kotoka International Airport is already handling more passengers than at any point in its history. West African aviation is growing. Regional connectivity remains underdeveloped, which means there is room for a new carrier to find a market if it is positioned correctly. The diaspora connection between Ghana and North America, Europe, and the Gulf is strong and commercially significant. A national airline with the right partnerships and the right routes could tap into demand that currently flows entirely through foreign carriers. The 29th of May 2026 deadline is the next moment of truth. When that date passes, the world will see how much genuine competition there is for the partnership, and the quality of that competition will say a great deal about how realistic the government's timeline is. A strong field of serious bidders would be a positive signal. A thin or weak response would be a warning sign. For Ghana, the stakes are high and the opportunity is real. The country that was one of the first in West Africa to operate a national airline is now working to reclaim that position. Whether this attempt succeeds where the others failed will depend on the quality of the partner chosen, the discipline of the governance structure that follows, and the government's willingness to let commercial logic drive decisions rather than political ones. The bids are open. The world is watching. And Ghana has until the end of May to show that this time, the flight plan is serious.